What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Another edition of the DFS OGs podcast here on RotoGrinders.com. Getting you all set for an ugly, cold, windy, rainy, snowy Week 16. And an interesting slate here. We got Christmas coming up, so we got Thursday night, full slate on Saturday, and then a three-gamer Sunday. So we'll cover every single game, as always, from a betting perspective. Speaking of betting, head over to BetMGM, the fine sponsor here of the show. Promo code is Grinders. That'll get you a risk-free bet up to $1,000. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. And we're going to be utilizing scoresandodds.com here on the screen, giving you all the different lines, totals, and of course, our favorite bets of the week. Let me bring in my boys, Head Chopper and Notorious. Noto, we'll start with you this week. Week 15 in the books. Week 16. I don't know about you, and I don't know if you've looked at this, but probably the ugliest slate of the week. I believe 8 totals under 40 here this week. So we'll talk weather as well. But how was week 15? How we doing, my man?
Yeah, just getting back from New Orleans. So this will be a true first look for me. I haven't even looked at the games, the spreads or anything. And maybe it'll be better for it because I'm officially one game below 500 on the season. So got to get that back up there. But yeah, New Orleans was a lot of fun. None of the guys I was rooting for ended up finishing that well, but yeah, Cal had, his whole family out there. He had 9 seats between the 2 different finals. Pretty incredible, and met a lot of people out there that listen to this show, which I was pretty surprised about, including, Cal's wife, Sheena, or girlfriend, I'm not sure exactly, but her dad listens to the show, and he got a kick out of us calling her my wingman last week. So, yeah, shout out to him.
Awesome. Yeah, Cal, good dude, man. Love Cal. So glad you had a good time out there. Let's get to Chop joining us from snowy Texas, it looks like, on the side of the ski hill. So, Chop, my man, week 15 in the books. How was it? How we doing today?
We're doing good today. I'm recovered from week 15. It was terrible. It was probably the worst one of the year, but it happens. You usually got to bounce back. So, it's Wednesday. We record this. That happened on Sunday. 72 hours. That's typical bounce back zone for a terrible DFS week. It usually takes about 48 hours. But yeah, the FanDuel ran their big contest. $250 per entry for the millionaire. I did terrible on that. It's crazy because you pick any random week during the year. I might win it. I could have won it. I've had some good weeks on FanDuel, and then you pick that week, and it was maybe my worst week. So you end up losing it, and that's the heaviest I play. So you just got to deal with all that and bounce back from it. What really stings, I can dig losing DFS. It's happened. We've been in this thing for, I don't know, 15 years now, something like that.
Long time, bro.
Yeah.
Long time.
I know how that feels. What stings the worst, what really hurts is when you lose that season long.
Oh.
Man. And when you lose it on the first play of the first game of the slate, when JT goes down and oh man, I'm done. I put together number 1 seed. I put all this work all year long. I was the best. And then you're going to lose it like that. That's hard to get over, man. I'm as you can see, I still might not be over it.
I'm gonna throw some bad beats in here myself for a season long, and I don't know nobody gives a damn about season long teams, but I shit you not, I lost 2 playoff matchups, one by 0.2, one by 0.45. So, and it opposite of you. Yours started out shitty. Mine, I had Christian Watson on both teams, needed about 10 points, and that towards the end, just not catching that ball, not getting in the end zone, not looking for the pass at the end. All I needed was him to catch one more pass and come up short. So it happens. We've all been on the good side, the bad side of things. So we'll move forward here to week 16. Last week, 8 and 7 combined on the best bets. So you want a little bit of money. You guys sitting a little bit below 500, so we'll get that rectified here this week. I am sitting at 44 and 26 on the season, so hope to stay hot here with the picks. All right, let's jump in. Thursday night football, Jacksonville and the Jets. Jets opened up 1.5-point favorites. That's where they stayed. The big line movement, though, is in the totals, and we're going to see a lot of this here throughout the show. This thing opened up at 43, all the way down to 36.5. Got the latest weather reports here from Kevin Roth. We'll mix those in. And he says cold and wet for Thursday night football. Temps in the 40s, but a steady rain, 10 to 15 mile per hour wind, just ugly weather. Expects to have a big impact on the passing game, of course. So Chop, we'll stay with you here. So we started out with an ugly game. There's going to be a lot of these throughout this show. Jags and Jets here. Jacksonville, we got to give them props last week, getting the big win against your Cowboys. So feel free to speak on that. I see Noto happy over there about that one. But Thursday Night Football, what do you got here to lead us off?
Yeah, that was a good win by the Jags last week. They're hot. I mean,
or a bad loss by the Cowboys.
Hey, I didn't have to ride that bull. Didn't have to ride the bull. Thanks, Chop.
The Cowboys. Listen, are the Cowboys on the main slate? I can talk about them then if they are, but
they are playing Philly on the
main
slate.
They are. I'll talk about them then, but it was a good win by the Jags. You got to give them credit, man. They were down 27-10, and they bounced back. And they came back strong there about midway through the third quarter. So, but I'm thinking maybe that was like a little bit too much. What we've talked about, the way the things change and the perception of game by game, and you can't ride that. You can't stay that hot, stay that high for too long in the NFL. It'll knock you down, and then vice versa. Well, Jags are coming in on cloud nine. The Jets, not so much. So I think that reverses roles this week. And I think the Jets, the Jets last week, what they have to do was that they have to try to run. They have to run the ball, right? Like, he's just not that good. So they have to run the ball. They just couldn't run against Detroit last week. But then you start digging into Detroit a little bit, and we can talk about them later on. But since they came off their bye week, they've been maybe the best team against the run all since that point. They're shutting everybody down. So now we get the Jags. So now I think they can run a little more. And you got that weather. They're going to have to run. I think I'm going to lean Jets here.
All right, let's go to the Jacksonville fan here amongst us. Big win for your boys. Now hitting the road, ugly weather. What are we expecting here, Noto, out of your Jaguars in New York?
Yeah, so all of a sudden, Jags have a 44% chance to make the playoffs. And honestly, it doesn't matter that much this week because they should be able to pick up a win against the Texans next week. And then it's likely going to come down to that final game against the Titans for the division. But, having this one would certainly be big. And I'm going to keep up with the trend. Whenever I bet against my team on this show, they end up surprising me and end up winning. Except last week. That was, I think, the first time I picked them and they ended up, covering the spread. But I'm going to go with the Jets. I just don't trust the Jags on the road, cold weather. They haven't had a lot of cold weather games so far this season. You mentioned the Jets defense. I think they can slow down Lawrence a little bit. Don't trust Zach Wilson, but like Chop said, I think they can get the running game going a little bit in this one.
Yeah, I'm in lockstep with you guys here. I think Jacksonville coming off that high. Maybe you see a letdown here in New York. I just trust that Jets defense out of any unit in this game more than anything else. So I think that's the way I would go. No best bets on this one, but I'm with you guys. I think the Jets is the play. All right, let's move to Christmas Eve. So again, if you haven't looked at things, Saturday is the big slate of games. We do have the 3-gamer on Christmas Day, Sunday, and we still have the Monday night game. But Saturday going to be where all the action is. So let's start with Giants. Vikings first. Minnesota opened up 4-point favorites. It's come down to 3.5. This one we do have a big total in 48, Noto. So one of the few big totals. So this one will be circled by the DFS crowd this week. But two teams still squarely in the mix. Minnesota pretty much locked in, can still claim one of those top 2 seeds. Giants still kind of fighting for one of those wild card spots. So Giants, impressive win last week. Can they do it again here? And how about those Vikings? I mean, that comeback, absolutely incredible. 33-0 at halftime. Come all the way back. Biggest comeback in NFL history. So it lost Matt Ryan his job. We'll talk some Colts when we get to Monday Night Football. But Vikings riding high, Giants riding high. How does this play out, Noto?
Yeah, so I don't have legal sports betting here in Utah, so I was taking advantage of it when I was in New Orleans. Bet on the Vikings money line, thought it was gone. And checked it at halftime. They were plus 2,700 on the money line at halftime.
You hit it again.
I did not. Unfortunately, I did not. But, I was happy that they obviously came back and won the game. And then the Giants, how lucky could they get? They called the penalty on McLaurin at the end of that game when he, asked the ref if he was lined up correctly. And then they don't get the penalty on the pass interference on the next play. So that game probably should have gone into overtime. They still continue to get lucky with the turnover differential. These are two teams that are probably the most overperforming teams in the league, but I'll trust the Vikings at home, and I will lock them in as my first best bet.
All right, best bet for Noto. Let's go to Chop. I'm with you on the Vikings. I don't feel good about them as a best bet, but I agree. These disappointing teams, in air quotes here, they both have decent records, but I think the Vikings the way to go here. Just hope they wasn't too high of a high last week, and they come stumbling down. I just think out of these two, they are the better team. So I'll lean Minnesota. Noto's got a best bet locked in. Chop, what are you doing here? Giants, Vikings.
I don't see a best bet, although I do like the Vikings also, along with Notorious. But I don't want to do best bet just because Giants just find a way to stay around, hang around these games, even when they really shouldn't. So, and that was a hell of a comeback. So you got to be feeling a little bit proud of yourself going into this week. And so I'm just not sure that their mental, state of mind is going to be the best to start off this game. So I definitely lean the Vikings. I'm just not going to lock them in.
All right, let's move on. Next game, we got New Orleans and Cleveland Browns opened up 3-point favorites. That's come down to 2.5. Another low total. In fact, lowest total. You said 15 years, Chop. This is the lowest total I can remember ever. I mean, this thing is below the Army-Navy total, 32.5 in this one. So the weather in Cleveland, supposed to snow pregame, temps in the teens, but we're talking 20, 30-mile-an-hour sustained winds, gusts up to 40. So obviously passes, field goals are going to be rough here, but 32.5, Chop. I mean, this is about as ugly as it gets here between these two.
Maybe I saved myself a little bit of, mental anguish by not making the finals in the season-long league, because you have some serious decisions to make on some of your star players this week with some of this weather, and this is definitely one of these games right here. I'm going to lock in the Browns just because I don't see how Andy Dalton and the Saints go out there, and I don't see how they move the ball at all. They're not even giving Kamara a fair chance. I don't know what's wrong with Kamara. He's playing like coming off bye week, should be healthy. He's playing like 60% of something 60% of the snaps. I don't know. They're not giving him a fair shot. And so in this particular weather, I trust Deshaun Watson to make the better decisions and to find the right people, short passes to guys who can make plays like Njoku. And if there's a running game that you want to depend on in this weather, even if Chubb is banged up, they still have Kareem Hunt. It's definitely the Browns running game. So I'm locking in the Browns best bet.
I'm with you. Cleveland best bet number one for me as well. They were good to us last week. I believe all three of us were on the Cleveland Browns last week. So I'm going right back to the well. Now, the number, it feels a little trappy. This is what makes me nervous is why is this number so low? Cleveland is clearly the better team, at least in my opinion. I agree with everything you say. Chubb sounds optimistic that he will play, but advantage Watson over Dalton, advantage Cleveland running game, advantage Cleveland defense over New Orleans, in my opinion, and they're the home team. Sign me up for Cleveland here. Just hope we're not stepping into a trap here with this 2.5-point line. But best bet number one for me on the board here as well with the Cleveland Browns. No, are we making it back-to-back weeks? All three of us on the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, make it 3 for 3 on the locks. I'm going with the Browns here. You just get an indoor team, outdoors. And this is pretty much an elimination game for both teams. Now, they're both really long shots to begin with. I think the Saints right now have a 2% chance to win the division. Browns have a 1% chance to make the playoffs. So both teams likely out of the playoff picture. But, I kind of like what we saw from Watson. He looked a little bit better each and every week. And, just bad weather for an indoor team. I don't like that. So give me the Browns.
All right, next up, the red-hot Detroit Lions, right back in the mix of the playoff race, sitting at 7-7. Carolina 5-9. I believe they control their own destiny in the division. So a big game for both of these teams. Lions opened up 2.5-point favorites. That has stayed steady. Total has gone from 44.5 down to 44. So, no, big game here. Detroit's been good to us here. I'm locking in the Lions as my next best bet here. I just think they're the much better team. I know Carolina, a lot to play for here, but so do the Lions. It's been a long time since we've seen them in the playoffs. I know Jared Goff kind of struggles on the road a little bit, but they're playing with confidence. Their defense is actually playing well. I probably would lean an under here as well. I think it's more of an ugly game like we saw in New York last week, but I'm going with the Lions once again here as road favorites. Noto, you joining me? You on the Carolina side? Or are you abstaining here? Lions, Panthers.
Yeah, this is a pretty clear abstain for me. I mean, these are two of the better teams in the last 6 weeks or so. I think both teams are going to be able to run the ball pretty well, and I think it's just going to come down to quarterback play. And I don't really trust either of them. Maybe trust Goff a little bit more than Darnold, but yeah, I think it'll be a good game. And yeah, I'll just watch this one from the sidelines.
All right, weather in this one, temps around freezing, so cold down there in Carolina, but no crazy wind or anything. So one of the few outdoor non-weather issues here this week. Chop, Lions, Panthers, big game here in the NFC playoff race.
Yeah, might be foolish, but I'm going to lock in the Lions here. Just because of what I mentioned earlier. So some of the things the big time running backs that they faced since coming out of their bye week. Well, last night, Zonovan Knight last week, 13 carries, 23 yards. Dalvin Cook, 15 carries, 23 yards. Etienne got 54. Oh, great. Saquon, 15 carries, 22 yards. They are shutting down quality running backs. So what is the Panthers like? They're probably at their best when they can get Foreman rolling and have a good running game. I don't think you want to depend everything on Sam Darnold. So I don't think they can get it rolling on the ground. Detroit's hot. Detroit's just flat out good. Like we all thought Goff was going to go in with his baby hands last week in New York and totally get blown out. And I mean, they somehow find a way to get it done, right? So I'm taking Detroit. I think they're going to make the playoffs.
All right, Chop, you and I in lockstep so far. Cleveland and Detroit, two best bets on the board. Next game, Cincinnati coming off that crazy come-from-behind win in Tampa Bay, taking on the Patriots in another crazy ending. I don't know what the Patriots were thinking on that one, but they end up losing in Vegas. I don't know if you guys have seen that video. This lady going nuts and talking shit to this guy, and the guy didn't even flinch. Like, just craziness out there in Vegas. But this one, no crazy weather here. Going to be cold, of course. Winds 10 to 15 miles an hour, so nothing too obnoxious compared with the other games. We have Cincy sitting at 3-point favorites here at BetMGM. That has stayed steady. Total at 41. That also hasn't moved. So, Chop, New England looking to bounce back here. I know we've kind of said they've been overrated all season long. Cincinnati playing some good football. This one feels like last week. Cincinnati got it done. The line feels a little bit lower than you would think here. So you jumping in on this one, you staying away? What do you got, Bengals, Patriots?
So I'm going to bring up the season long again because I got to get it out of my system.
Hey, man, this is our platform. We do whatever the hell we want.
I was facing Joe Burrow. Like, I lost Jay Taylor quick. I still only lost by 10 points, right? And so going into halftime, Bengals, Bucks, Burrow's sitting on like 60 yards and no touchdowns. I'm like, oh, man, this is looking good. At this point, I'm looking good. Like, I'm starting to look good. I don't know, man. The Bucks came out the second half and set this dude up inside like the 30-yard line every single, like the first 5 possessions. They let him get 4 touchdowns in the second half, and he didn't even have to get that last. That last one was just rubbing it in my face, man. Like, just all you got to do is hand the ball off and milk the clock, and it's over with. So, the Bengals are playing about as well as anybody in the NFL, I think, right now. So I'm certainly – I don't know if I want to take them on the road here. Mine is more than a field goal, so I'm going to abstain from a best bet, but I do lean the Bengals just because they're playing as good as anybody. And if the playoffs started right now, I've always said Buffalo was my number 1 team in the AFC. Kansas City's right at their heels, but Cincinnati might be the best team, man, if it started today.
Yeah, I mean, it's the defending AFC champ, so we got to give them their props here. I would lean Cincy as well. Again, it makes me a little nervous. This line – a little bit lower than you'd think it would be here with New England. But Noto, maybe you got stronger thoughts here. What are you doing here, Bengals, Patriots?
Well, last week was a great week for the revenge game truthers. I mean, Chandler Jones catches a lateral, stiff arms Mac Jones, and runs it in to win the game. The whole place at the live final just went nuts. That was pretty awesome. But I'm with you guys. I think since he's a better team, I think that loss last week is going to cost the Patriots a playoff spot. And not locking them in, but I do lean Cincy.
Did that swing anything huge as far as the standings go, that play?
No, not really. I'm sure it swung some money, down in the middle. But the top was pretty much set with like a quarter to go.
All right, Bills, Bears up next. Buffalo opened as 10-point favorites. That's down to 8.5 here total at 40.5. This is another ugly one here. Looks like sustained winds, 20 to 25, gusts to 35, blowing snow. So no falling precipitation, but the snow on the ground. Temps around 10 degrees. Real field temps around negative 10 degrees. So not quite as windy as Cleveland, but going to be ugly here in Chicago. So I am locking in a best bet here, but I'm going to toss it to Noto here. Buffalo, tough spot here on the road with the weather. Clearly the much better team here. But we did see Chicago battle with Philadelphia last week. Can they do it again here with a very good Buffalo team?
Yeah, interested to hear your best bet. I don't have a strong take on this game, but I will note that the Bills, they've been in one-score games in 6 of the last 7. So they just haven't been running away from teams. We know Justin Fields, he's a tough matchup for pretty much anyone. He's kind of a unique matchup in that part that if they get down, he can easily bring them back, and they can keep the game competitive too. So I would lean Chicago, but interested to hear your take.
I'm locking in the damn Bears.
Let's go.
This weather is perfect for them. It's going to limit the explosive plays that Buffalo can make through the air. Now, Buffalo can still get it done on the ground, no doubt, between Singletary, Cook, Josh Allen, but he is dealing with that elbow injury as well. Justin Fields going to be able to run around. Montgomery has looked okay the last couple weeks, and you mentioned Buffalo finds themselves in a lot of close games. This Bears team, record looks bad. They're playing some competitive football right now. To me, it's too many points over a touchdown. I'm locking in the Bears. Best bet number 3. Chop. Buffalo, Chicago, snowy, Soldier Field. What do you got?
I'm not locking in the Bears, but I definitely lean towards the Bears. That's just a ton of points for a game that's going to have limited points in the first place, like you said. So I'm sitting there watching the pregame on Buffalo last week, and everybody was talking about snow and cold and, what are we going to do with it? And you're watching the pregame, and it's fine. Like, I'm going to play Josh Allen. I'm going to play these guys. It's not a big deal. But now, when you start to deal with temperatures that are below 0, it changes the game. So there's going to be limited points, like you say, limited big plays. I actually probably trust in a game like this, I probably trust Fields more to get out there and take the abuse and to run and to plow through people more than I do Josh Allen. And he's good at it, but Fields is like a total workhorse, man. Like, he's tough. So I think there's an advantage here for the Bears. I'm going to lean towards Bears here.
All right, moving on. Houston and Tennessee up next. Houston almost pulled it off there against Kansas City. Very competitive game there. Titans coming back home here. This is always a Derrick Henry smash spot. We've talked about this before. This guy has absolutely dominated this Houston team. 200-yard games left and right, multiple touchdowns, seemingly every time they match up. Now, a lot of line movement here, though. Opened up Tennessee minus 8.5. That has come all the way down to Tennessee minus 4.5 in this spot. Total at 36 here, Chop. So this is not a weather game. It's going to be cold in Tennessee, colder than they're used to. Temps in the 20s, but low total here, 36. What are we doing here? Does Derrick Henry go nuts, or does Houston stay competitive once again?
It's a good question. First of all, Houston props, man. Everybody got on Dallas for playing them close, and then they come back the next week and they take Kansas City to overtime. So they're playing really good. With that being said, I think Tennessee, I would lock them. I definitely lean Tennessee. I'm not going to lock them in because Tannehill's not going to play this week, right? So it's going to be Malik Willis. So he just looks terrible. He probably hurts Derrick Henry so much because they don't have to worry about any passes now. It's going to be all like 8-9 guys in the box. So he hurts Henry, but I think Henry's still fine. Still probably gets there somehow. I just can't lock in Tennessee with Malik Willis at quarterback, but I heavily lean towards Tennessee here.
I do as well. Despite the line movement here, to me, it just gives us a more playable number. 8.5. I'm probably on the Houston side, but 4.5. I would lean Tennessee here as well. Not a best bet for me, but 2 for 2 on the Titans here. Noto, what do you got here? Texans, Titans.
My friends, open up your BetMGM app and lock in the Titans minus 4. I could be the quarterback of this team, and we will win by more than 4 points. I mean, Derrick Henry, last 4 games, you mentioned it. He's had nearly 1,000 yards from scrimmage in 4 games against the Texans and 9 touchdowns during that stretch. So I don't care if they stack the box. They're not going to be able to stop the run. Give me all the Titans, and lock it in as my third best bet.
All right, Titans on the board for Notorious. Seattle, Kansas City up next. Open Kansas City, 9.5-point favorites. That's gone to double digits now, sitting at 10. Big total here at 49. Seattle side, Tyler Lockett likely done for the year. Kenneth Walker also dealing with an injury here. So I have a best bet ready for you, but Noto, I'm going to throw it to you here. Big spread here. Seattle, very surprising team. Kansas City, we know they are a powerhouse, surviving last week in Houston. So big number here, Noto, big total. What are you doing, Seattle, Kansas City?
Feels like a good get-right spot for Patrick Mahomes and the offense playing at home, but 10 points is a lot. I actually like the under. We've seen a lot of unders hit in Kansas City over the last few years, and I don't think Geno's going to be able to do too much in this one, so I would lean towards the under.
I'm locking in Seattle here. Now, this is the one I feel the least confident of my 5 best bets. I'm gonna be honest with you here, but it just feels like a lot of points here. Again, Lockett at a big miss, no doubt. If Walker's out, that probably hurts this bet. Maybe we get an even better number here. But the Chiefs, like you talked about with Buffalo, Noto, not really blowing a lot of teams out. They have a couple blowouts for sure, but they find themselves in a lot of competitive games here, and Seattle has been competitive. So 10 just feels like too big of a number here. If it's 8, I'm staying away. I'm locking in Seattle, double-digit points here, Chop. Am I crazy? You joining me? What are you doing here, Seattle, Kansas City?
Yeah, it's just a lot of points, so I'm not feeling real good about either side here. I could see it going either way. So 10 is just a big number. I do think Lockett's a huge loss for Seattle, but nothing they can't make up. I mean, the 48.5 here, goodness gracious, this is like dream stuff on this slate, man.
Yep.
You know you're going to get some off. Like, this might be the most offensive game of the day, so on the slate. So feel good about that, but yeah, I'm kind of like on the fence here, so I'm not going to give a lean.
All right, let's go to the Battle of the Birds up next. The Falcons, our Falcons, my Falcons somehow got me the cover last week. It was looking ugly, but ended up getting it done there at the end in New Orleans. They hit the road again in Baltimore. Very big number on this one. Open up Baltimore 6.5-point favorites. That's gone to 8 here at BetMGM. Another low total at 37 here, Chop. So I'll put it out there. I'm not betting the Falcons this week. I'm not going with them. I'm not going against them. I would lean Atlanta here. Huntley makes me a little nervous. This number feels a little inflated here, but I'm going to leave this one alone, Chop. Leaning Falcons. What are you doing here? Atlanta, Baltimore.
I still think there's an outside chance that Lamar plays. I know he didn't practice today, but I still think there's an outside shot that he plays because he needs to, and he knows he needs to. They're not very good with Tyler Huntley. So, but I'm going to lock in the Ravens. I think Lamar has a chance to play, even if he doesn't. What are the Falcons like? Desmond Ridder. Whew, okay, good luck with that one.
He's rough.
You thought Mariota, whatever, same thing. Mariota. You thought Mariota was a bad quarterback passing the ball. Ritter's might be worse. Falcons, when they're at their best, they're running the ball. Unfortunately for them, the Ravens, the strength is against the run. You're just not going to run like a ton against them. You can exploit their secondary. There's no chance I see Ridder exploiting a secondary in the NFL right now. So I'm going to lock in the Ravens here.
Best bet?
Best bet.
All right, Baltimore on the board for Chop. Noto, let's go to you here. Big number here. Chop's confident in Baltimore. My lean is Atlanta. What are you doing here, Ravens, Falcons?
Yeah, I like Chop's take on the game quite a bit. The Falcons certainly aren't doing Ridder any favors. I mean, first start on the road against New Orleans against a pretty good defense, and now on the road against Baltimore has been one of the better defenses in the league the last 8 weeks or so. So I lean towards Baltimore, but Huntley, he's been bad outside of that one game he had last year that kind of broke the DFS slate. But yeah, I'll still lean Baltimore.
Yeah, he had me fooled. He's had a lot of people fooled, and it's just looked terrible. So that's mainly my lean. If it's Lamar Jackson, I think Baltimore rolls here. If it's Huntley, I think Atlanta keeps this game close. So it wouldn't even shock me to see them win. But Chop's got Baltimore locked in, so that's the way we're going to root here with the Ravens. All right, afternoon slate here on Christmas Eve. Looks like a 2-gamer. Washington, San Francisco. Up next, Niners big favorites, as you'd expect. Opened up 6.5. It's gone to 7. Total, again, very low at 38, Noto. So Washington, like you mentioned, probably at least should have went to overtime. Tough to say if they would have won the game or not, but that was a debacle there at the end with McLaurin, the pass interference in the end zone. Now they hit the road. Now they're starting to question Taylor Heineke. Are we going to go back to Carson Wentz? I think they stick with Heineke from the sounds of it here this week. Niners playing some incredible football right now with Brock Purdy at quarterback. Just fits the system well. I mean, the kid looks poised, looks confident, and this is one of the better teams. I know Chop's a believer. I think they're the best team in the NFC as well. So big number here, Noto. What are you doing? Washington, San Francisco.
Yeah, 7 games in a row for the Niners, and during that stretch, they've allowed 11 points per game. I really like, Taylor Heineke. He's an easy guy to root for, but whether it's him or Carson Wentz, I think this defense is going to have a lot of success, and I don't see anybody stopping the offense, even with, Purdy back there. So, yeah, lock me into the Niners.
Lock? Best bet, lock?
Yep.
All right, you got it. Niners on the board. Number 4 for Noto. I'm on the Niners. They were right on the fringe. I debated them in Seattle. Probably should have went with the Niners here, but I'm with you. I think they just dominate defensively. Purdy does enough. I think San Francisco likely rolls in this one. Chop, your thoughts here, Washington, San Francisco.
Yeah, I'll lean the Niners. I'm not going to lock it in only because, Washington coming off that game, they're going to rise up and play their best game in a while this weekend. The 49ers have been winning so much that they're probably pretty complacent right now. So I'm not gonna best bet it, but I do lean the Niners, and I'll go out on a limb. I don't know if I said this last week, but Purdy's better than Garoppolo for this team right now. He's better for him. So he even brings that small hint of threat with his legs. That pushes him over the top, in my opinion. So. Yeah, that's the best team in the NFC. I'll lean Niners here.
All right, these next 2 teams might have an argument there with you, Chop. Philadelphia, Dallas up next. Obviously, the huge story. We're all waiting on the status of Jalen Hurts. Initially, it was he's not going to play. Sirianni came out, not going to rule him out. Said he's built differently than we are. Hurts himself said day by day. Now, today was not spotted at practice, so we'll have to keep an eye on tomorrow. Will be the big day with the game being on Saturday. So spread has moved for sure. We're sitting at 4.5 here in favor of the Cowboys. Opened up at 1, total at 47. So, Chop, this one tough to say. We don't know if he's going to play or not. My season-long teams damn sure hope that he plays, but it would make sense for them to give him a week off here. I think they can afford it, but let's try to maneuver around this Jalen Hurts thing. What are you doing here, Eagles, Cowboys?
He's not going to play, and I'm not sure. There's like 3 trains of thought for me in that everything's exactly like as being described, and he really is questionable, but they're going to hold him out. There's the thought that this injury is a lot more serious than what they're leading on, and he could miss multiple weeks right now, and that would be something. And then there's the third train of thought for me is they just don't want to show. This is going to be the second round matchup in the playoffs. And they're just not going to give away too much in this game because it's almost completely meaningless for the Eagles. They almost locked up after this game, they've got like 2 cupcake matchups to lock up everything. All they got to do is win 1 game from here on out. So they're just not going to show you very much. They just don't, they don't want to give anything away for that playoff meeting. So I understand it all. Whatever happens there. With that being said, I'm going to lock in the Cowboys this week because I don't think Hurts plays. I don't think there's any motivation for the Eagles. I don't think they're going to show anything that could come back to haunt them in the playoffs. And the Cowboys do want to win this thing and just kind of, I don't know, get back on track. But I'll say this. Cowboys are still the 3rd best team in the NFC, but they're a distant 3rd now. People have to understand the defense isn't the same that it was a month ago. They've lost half their starting defensive backfield now to season-ending injuries. Leighton Vander Esch is out now for multiple games probably. They lost their starting right tackle. Terrence Steele is on injured reserve now. He's done for the year. It's just not the same team that it was a month ago that was the 3rd best and could definitely beat Philly in Philly. They don't have that in them now. But I think they lock it up this weekend and run away with this particular game.
All right, Noto, let's get to you. Again, thoughts on Jalen Hurts. Does he play? Does he not play? I tend to lean with Chop. They don't really need him to play. Why risk further injury when you have Super Bowl aspirations, but the line has certainly said he's not going to play. Chop's locking in the Cowboys here. I'm going to stay away from this game. Just not sure what with his situation, but what are you doing here, Dallas, Philadelphia?
Yeah, I'd be really surprised if he ends up playing. I agree with everything Chop said, especially about their defense. I mean, you give up 3 touchdowns to Zay Jones. Something's wrong with that defense. But kidding aside, I think the Coach of the Year award could end up being decided this week. So, I mean, if the Eagles go on the road and beat Dallas without Hurts, I think Sirianni is pretty much a lock for it. And if they lose and the Lions pull off the upset on the road, Dan Campbell could be, the favorite at the end of the week. So, if you like the Lions and want to get some action, I don't mind the Dan Campbell at positive odds right now.
Who would have thought he would even be in the discussion 6-7 weeks ago? But here we are. Been a crazy 2022 NFL season. All right, last game, Christmas Eve night. We get the Raiders and the Steelers. Another low total here, sitting at 39, I believe it is. 38.5 here at BetMGM. Spread has moved. Pittsburgh opened up 1-point favorites. That's up to 2.5. I have a best bet ready for this game for your Christmas Eve night. But Noto, let's go to you, buddy. Raiders coming off that crazy win here. Pittsburgh playing some decent football here, but a low total. What do you got? Las Vegas, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, did you say if Pickett's going to play or not?
It's sounding like he's trending towards playing. That's the latest that I saw.
Okay, so under that assumption, I will lean towards Pittsburgh. Their defense is playing really well. The Raiders coming off the huge emotional win, which in a game they probably should have lost or at least gone to overtime. So I'll just lean towards the home team in this one. Pittsburgh's generally a pretty tough place to play, and I really like their defense.
Yeah, this one, temperatures will be cold. Doesn't look like any wind or precipitation, but we're talking 10 degrees. Winds 10 to 15 is not terrible. So I'm locking in the Steelers here. You lean that way, I'm locking them in. The home team in the cold. I think that defense can hold this Raiders offense down. Very good against the run, so I think they can limit what Josh Jacobs can do. I know Darren Waller's back, but Pittsburgh playing with some confidence. I think they're going to be able to run the ball, do enough, especially if Pickett's in there under a field goal. I'm locking in the Pittsburgh Steelers as my 4th best bet. Chop, what do you got here, Vegas, Pittsburgh?
I'm locking in the Pittsburgh Steelers also. Kenny Pickett, like if he's probably going to play, and he's a Pittsburgh guy. He's no, the weather's no big deal for him. I just think, like everything, the narrative stuff here, man, where just cloud 9 last week after the Raiders' crazy victory, you're just going to have a little bit of a letdown here. And Pittsburgh is still chasing, however faint the hope is, they still, chasing a playoff spot. They've clearly got the better coach here to motivate your team into thinking you got a shot. Like, I could just tell by body language, the Raiders, like Devontae Adams throws up his hands sometimes. He's just frustrated with a lot of everything that goes on. You don't really see that with Pittsburgh. Tomlin keeps them really in this thing, man, even though they're not a good team. So I'm going to lock in the Steelers, which I think they're going to blow this game out.
All right, Chop and I on Pittsburgh as best bets. Let's move to Christmas Day to open things up at 1 Eastern. Green Bay and Miami. Green Bay opened up 4.5-point underdogs here in Miami. That has come down to 4. The total, big one at 49.5 here, Chop. So I'll go first here. Green Bay's been good to me. They covered for us last week. I believe all 3 of us were on them against the Rams. Chop, I'm going back to the well here. I like Green Bay with the points here. Their playoff life is on the line here. And this is more to do with Miami, who's come crashing back down to earth. They've only covered 3 of their last 11 games here. They've lost 3 games in a row. Now, all tough games on the road. They're coming home. But the strength of this Green Bay defense, which there aren't many strengths, they're better against the pass. I know Mostert has been solid here. We'll see the status of Jeff Wilson, but I think the defense does enough. I think the offense finds success here as well with Aaron Jones and some of those receivers starting to get it going here. I like taking the points here in this game. I think it's going to be close. I think Green Bay goes down and gets the win, so I don't hate the money line either. But Green Bay, best bet number 5 for me, Chop. Agree, disagree? What are you doing here? Green Bay, Miami.
I'm pretty neutral on that one. I'm not going to hate on that pick. The Packers, came off the bye week, and they're looking a little bit better there. And so I'm not – and the Dolphins are struggling. I do worry about this game being in Miami, and you kind of lose – Like if this game was in Green Bay in the cold weather, oh man, yeah, I'm locking them in. In Miami, you kind of lose that edge a little bit, and so I'm kind of neutral on it. But I don't hate on any. You're getting more than a field goal here from a team that's struggling, and you're kind of like you're starting. Actually, you tell me you're the Green Bay guy. Is that not the first time all year long they've had Lazard, Watson, and Dubs and Cobb all healthy and playing at the same time? So that makes a difference.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. If not, it's been very limited snaps with all those guys on the field together. So, Noto, Christmas Day opens up Packers Miami. What are we doing?
You guys talked about your bad beats earlier, so I have a story of my own. So we talked about betting the adjusted line for the Packers. So I bet them 12.5. Pretty big bet. And I also did a same game parlay with Aaron Jones touchdown, A.J. Dillon touchdown, and then the 12.5.
Oh.
And so at the end of the game, 4th down and 1 from like the 4 or whatever. So I was like, okay, kick the field goal, cover the 12.5. No, they go for it. They not only get the first down, but they get tripped up at like the 1 yard line and then nail the ball. So I'm right there with you guys with these bad beats. But, yeah, I agree. I mean, Green Bay is looking good. They're probably, out of the playoffs, but they're still not eliminated yet. So I think we're going to see a good fight out of them until that happens.
And Watson has a walk-in touchdown. If he just looks, they're talking about Rodgers signals and, are they confusing? A bunch of guys have come out and said, yeah, we don't understand any of his signals. So, but if he just turns, he walks in and you that's a brutal beat for sure. So Christian Watson hurting more than one of us here. This week. All right, this one should be fun. Denver and the Rams. This is about when dinner is being served here. You might want to catch a nap with this game. Denver, 2.5-point favorites. They opened up as 1-point favorites, 38.5. It seems like a monster total here, Noto, compared to some of the other ones. But, I mean, we're down to backup quarterbacks here. Half of these teams are on IR. I'm not touching this game, but what do you got here, Denver and the Rams?
Hey, if it's Baker under center, give me the Broncos. Pretty easy flow chart there. I still think the Broncos defense is probably the best unit in this game, even though they're not as strong as they were. The Rams obviously not as strong on defense either, but yeah, I'm not locking that in.
All right, Chop, anything on this ugly mid-afternoon Christmas spectacular Denver and the Rams?
How many best bets do I have left?
0.
What? I've used them all up.
Shot all them bullets.
Golly. Yeah, I like the Broncos here. Rams are just terrible. Like, just really legitimately, it's over with for them this season. And, they I don't want to say they sold their soul for that Super Bowl, but it's looking a lot like it because Stafford's out there contemplating retirement. And if he goes, Aaron Donald's not that far behind. So they got their Super Bowl, but it's been costly for them. I definitely like the Broncos here.
It's funny, living in the Detroit area last season, it was the joke. They were the Detroit Rams. Everybody was cheering for Stafford and getting that Super Bowl. Now they own that Rams draft pick. So the hate on the Rams around here, I want them to lose every single game. That pick's sitting at number 4, I believe, right now. So the Detroit Lions rooting for a Rams loss.
Number 4, and it's like they're going to get a free first rounder next year because Jameson Williams will finally be healthy.
Yep.
Oh, man.
And their own first round pick. So they add some defense. Look, they can add like a Will Anderson. Look out. They're on the right track, man. Chop, would you like to reevaluate? You seem to really like Denver there. So I got them in the maybe pile here. Do you want to reevaluate some of the previous picks, or
we'll address it at the end of the show.
Right, we'll look at the end. Let's finish up the analysis here of these games. All right, Christmas night we get Tampa Bay and Arizona. Colt McCoy now out as well. Trace McSorley, former Penn State quarterback, I believe, starting for the Arizona Cardinals. Tampa Bay big favorites here. Line has moved significantly on this news, opened up as 3-point favorites. They're now up to 7.5-point favorites, 40.5 on the total here, Chop. So Trace McSorley, we know, not great. I don't think he was even that great at Penn State. Now starting here against this Tampa defense, but Tampa Bay not exactly been putting a ton of points on the board here. Big number, easy avoid for me in this one. Chop, what are you doing here, Tampa Bay and Arizona?
If you're just looking at the lobby and you're pulling up Saturday 10 games, okay, that's nice. Oh, Sunday, Christmas Day, we got 3 games. All right. And then you flip to the schedule part of it. You're like, whoa. What are you, NFL? You didn't do us any favors here. Broncos, Rams, and now this, like, as your
To be
nightcap.
fair, these games on paper looked great going into Christmas Day. Like, man, these are some great matchups.
They need some flex scheduling then, because like, are the Buccaneers going to be the first? I don't even know. Are they going to be the first division winner under 500 ever? Because
no, we had that year Washington, I want to say. I think Seattle did it one year. There's been a couple of them.
These guys are rough, man. But like you said, McSorley wasn't that good at Penn State. He was okay. The things he could do at Penn State the best won't translate to the NFL. So this Buccaneers, for one half, they looked great last week. Then their offense kind of like let them down and their special teams by giving Cincinnati the ball inside the red zone so much. So defense is still a strong unit for Tampa Bay. They'll shut this guy down. Tampa Bay will rout him.
All right, Noto, Tampa, Arizona, our Christmas night spectacular here. Again, I'm not touching this game. And how owned is Tua going to be on this 3-game Sunday slate? I mean, look at our quarterbacks. Brady, I guess Brady will draw some ownership, but McSorley, Rippin, whoever the hell the Rams are going to roll out there. So this game, though, Tampa big number, Noto. What are you doing here, Bucks, Cardinals?
Yeah, this is tough. It looks like we should just lock in Tampa Bay, but man, they're 3-10-1 against the spread. I don't trust them to win a game, let alone win by 8 points right now. So I'm going to lean towards the home team. You know, Kingsbury, he's probably going to be gone, but he's fighting for his job. A lot of these guys, I think they're at least going to show some heart. So I would take Arizona side.
All right, let's move on. Monday Night Football, Colts and Chargers to wrap things up here for this week. We have a 4.5-point spread in favor of the Chargers. That's up from the 3 at open. Total in this one sitting at 46. So big news here. Jonathan Taylor out for the year. Noto, we saw Zach Moss get about 1 million carries in that game, Deion Jackson. So they'll likely be popular on that Monday Night Football one-gamer, but a big game here for the Chargers on the road. What are we doing here to finish this off? Chargers, Colts.
Yeah, so if the Chargers win this game, they're pretty much locked up a playoff spot. It goes to 99% chances, which is pretty wild. So that means the Chargers are going to lose. That's just what it means. We see this every single year. I don't understand. Maybe this is the year that it's a little different. And I don't trust anybody on this Colts offense. So yeah, I'll lock in the Chargers and knowing full well that this is a losing bet.
Best bet?
Yep.
All right, best bet number 5 on the Chargers. I lean that way, but again, I'm with you. I'm always pessimistic about the Chargers. As soon as you're feeling good, they let you down. But, you know, on the road, Nick Foles, the new starting quarterback here for the Indianapolis Colts as well. So I lean the Chargers here as well. Chop, finish this off here. Monday Night Football, LA and Indy.
Yeah, I definitely lean in the Chargers here. They're going to get into the playoffs, and I think they're going to be a dangerous team if they can just get healthy. So they're going to be tough out in that first round for somebody. I definitely lean the Chargers here.
All right, let's recap the best bets. We'll see if Chop wants to make an adjustment here and add Denver to the mix. Chop, I got you for Cleveland, Detroit, Baltimore, Dallas, and Pittsburgh. We'd like to make an adjustment.
I do want to make an adjustment. As much as I like Baltimore.
I knew that one was coming out.
Let's get rid of Baltimore. I do like a heavy lean towards Baltimore. But let's get rid of that one because the Broncos. I got to go Broncos here. Like, we're getting less than a field goal. The Rams are just completely washed and out of it this year. And Denver, like Notorious said, still has the best unit in this game, which is their defense. And I don't mind whoever's under quarterback getting it to the receivers in this game. So I'm going to go Broncos instead of Baltimore.
All right, Cleveland, Detroit, Denver, Dallas, Pittsburgh this week for Chop. Noto's got Minnesota, Cleveland, Tennessee, San Francisco, and the LA Chargers. I'm rolling with Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago, Pittsburgh, and Green Bay. So Cleveland across the board for us. A couple of us on Detroit, a couple of us on Pittsburgh here as some consensus best bets. All right, let's talk a little Christmas. It's Christmas week. So, Chop, big plans for Christmas? Is everything set? You got everything you need for the kids? for the wife? What's the Christmas outlook here?
Yeah, we know what we're going to do. What we typically do. Thanksgiving is everybody come over here and you eat over here. But Christmas, we know we're going to be doing house to house stuff. So we're ready for it. And, you know how it goes. Like, all I got to do, my only focus for Christmas shopping is just get my wife something. That's all like she's going to do the kids, every single member of the family. She's going to do it all. All I got to do is focus on her. What can I get? Like, so just don't mess that one up, guys. If you can not mess that one up, you'll be all right. Don't worry about anything else.
I'm in the same boat. I got 50 Amazon boxes on my porch. I'm just the, can you carry this shit around guy? Can you bring this stuff to the basement? Can you hide it? Can you bring it all up? Yada, yada. But great. You got it. You got to nail the gift for the wife. So feeling good about the gift this year. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm like you. We bounce around. We host Thanksgiving. We hit the road. We go do breakfast here. We go to a couple different places. So nice to have some NFL. We'll have NBA. Noto will have us all ready for that on Christmas Day as well. But should be a fun sports weekend. I mean, we got everything going on. So I'm excited. We got the snow coming too. Could do without that. But a white Christmas here. Chop's got the snow already there behind him in Texas. So Noto, Christmas plans, buddy. What do we got going on?
Yeah, my responsibilities have flipped. Single Noto, don't have to worry about the wife anymore. Now I have to buy presents for everybody. I used to just sit back and, she would buy the presents for the parents and the sisters.
How's that going?
Oh, man, a lot of gift cards. I'm not going to lie. Some Omaha steaks, send those out to a couple of people. But yeah, still got some work to do on the Santa side of things. So still doing that. I got a really sick kid right now, which is never fun. Seems like the time of year when, it just goes through the house. So other than that, I'm excited for it. Definitely excited for the weekend. It's going to be busy content wise, but it'll be worth it once we get it all up.
Yeah, those illnesses. I don't know about you guys, but my kids' schools are decimated. They're begging to stay home. Yeah, there's so many people sick. I want to stay home. Like I've debated it. We don't need that going around. So hopefully the little man is feeling better. I hope everybody, you guys especially, have a great Christmas. Everybody out there, Merry Christmas to you. Good luck here on this Week 16 slate with your bets and with your DFS. For Notorious, for Head Shopper, I am Beer. We are the DFS OGs. Thank you so much, as always, for listening. Do us a favor, click that thumbs up button if you haven't already on YouTube. Go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. So, all the listeners out there, we want to hear from you, and we appreciate your feedback and your support. Best of luck. Merry Christmas from the DFS OGs. We are out. Kick off the new pro football season with the king of sportsbooks. Sign up at BetMGM using bonus code GRINDERS, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Michigan, Mississippi, Nevada, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Puerto Rico, Tennessee, Virginia, Washington, D.C., West Virginia, Wyoming, or Ontario only. Must be 21 years or older to wager. 19 or older in Ontario. New customer offer only. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. Excludes Michigan disassociated persons. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona. 1-800-522-4700 in Colorado, D.C., Kansas, Louisiana, Nevada, Wyoming, or Virginia. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help in Michigan. 1-800-GAMBLER in Indiana, Maryland, New Jersey, or West Virginia. 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789 in Tennessee, or call 1-888-777-9696 in Mississippi and Ontario. If you have any questions or concerns about your gambling or someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. Sports betting is void in Georgia, Hawaii, Ohio, and Utah, and other states where prohibited. Promotional offers not available in Nevada and New York.